Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Hazel Adams. Thank you for joining me today. If you're returning to the channel, welcome back. So glad you're here. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. We're so glad you're here. So today's video is actually the first official video in a series that I've realized I need to do for you all. The series of videos, and it'll be a brief series, maybe 4, 5, or 6 at the most, shorter videos on some different topics, but all around this ascension of consciousness that we as humans are going through, that actually all the consciousness, the consciousness of the planet, the galaxy, the universe, our entire construct is raising into a higher octave. And of course, most of us, especially if you're watching this, you've been aware of downloads of cosmic light codes and channelings about when the solar flash is going to happen and what it's going to be and all of those things. So this series is going to be around this ascension. And today we will be talking about the solar flash itself. And specifically, not only what it might look like and perhaps how to prepare for it, how you might experience it, when it might happen. I did share a little bit about when it might happen in the video I posted yesterday, which was, will the solstice bring the solar flash? Which timeline is true? And the collapse of the greed, fear, power structure. By the way, I think that video really is the prequel. It's part of the series that I didn't know yet that I was going to do, but what I realize now is that video from yesterday is actually the launching of this series. So if you haven't watched it already, please do watch it because it sort of lays some groundwork for all of this. As a matter of fact, the reason all of this came up is someone had written to me, one of you all had written to me after that video and said, well, what do you see as far as what the new Earth will be like? And I found myself writing a very long answer, and I realized, oh my golly, there's a lot of information here that I need to share with you all. And it certainly doesn't want to be in one long video. So that's why all of a sudden I just knew that I have to do a series. It's entitled The Great Shift. It's the Great Shift series. And this video around the solar flash is the first. Some other topics that I'm going to cover, all in kind of quick succession here, because we're there, guys. We're imminent. We're on the precipice of this change. We're actually in it now. We're like literally on the runway, speeding up to take off, so to speak. I mean, we're there, and it's going to happen very, very soon. But some of the other topics then that I'm going to cover would be the 3 days of darkness, because so often in channelings, the two go together. And there's a reason they're often talked about together, because when the sun is in a period of great activity, it coincides really synchronistically with shifts in the earth crust, volcanic activity, seismic activity, earthquakes. And we have been seeing huge solar flares and coronal mass ejections, huge deluges of protons and neutrons and light codes. We've been seeing an uptick in volcanic activity around the planet and in earthquake. We just recently had a couple of more serious earthquakes on the planet. So we'll look at the potential 3 days of darkness here in probably the next video. We'll look at what the new Earth will be like to live in long term, 20 or 30 years from now, but also what the transition might or might not look like. We'll talk about what you may have heard called the false matrix, which is the matrix of reality that we've all been living in by choice. We're not victims, but the matrix of reality that we've been living in that so involved fear and lack and separation. And we'll talk about how to choose, how to discern which channelers to listen to. And I've talked about all of these things before, but there's more to be said, more clarification and new insight and information, because I'm downloaded every day with new expanded awareness and insights. So let's first talk about the actual event, and then we'll talk about what it really is energetically and how we're going to experience it and how it will look as it's playing out in the different sort of where people are on the planet, where they are in their consciousness, and how this will sort of show up. The event itself has been talked about by different entities in different ways. Some talk about it as one event, one big event, boom. Others have mentioned it as perhaps a series of events, or maybe even 3 events. As per usual, we create our own reality. All the timelines are available. All are true, and no one is the truth. It depends on which one we vibrate in, which one best fits our personal timeline. So any predictions that anybody gives aren't necessarily going to be what you experience, except if you read that prediction, or you listen to someone like myself on YouTube and you hear that prediction. It's obviously a possibility in your field. It's one of the stronger probable versions in your field, or you wouldn't even be reading it or listening to it. Having said that, there's one lady who claims to be an angel that's embodied to help us, and I believe her. I don't particularly vibrate with everything she says, but that's all right. I don't need to. But she said that the event, as she was shown it, was almost like a contraction of the sun to where everything got dark. It actually was like dark outside. And then not the sun exploding as in a harmful way, but just a complete expansion of the sun. It really might look like that. It might also be a huge mass coronal ejection of proportions that no one's ever seen in history. It really could be that the sun has been doing these plasma ejections that are just ridiculously large and far-reaching. And our planet and we have been being deluged with proton storms and neutron storms and electromagnetic particles from the sun. And the sun actually thins the planet's magnetosphere, which is the electromagnetic sort of sheath around the planet. Well, what that does is allow our consciousness to expand and perceive more. It lets us lift into a broader, higher bandwidth, guys. Literally, the electromagnetic sheath around us that we've been in was sort of a bandwidth, that's where we operated in, that's where we vibrated in, and that's what we could experience. All of this solar activity thins that out and makes us more open to not only the light codes, the information being flooded into us from our own solar sun, but from the cosmic divine consciousness energy and information just coming into us more directly, which is higher frequency, and we're lifting into a higher bandwidth to where we can handle that. So this lady saw it as that kind of expansion and then contraction. There have been some massive, and continue to be some massive, downloads with certain astronomical and astrological events of light code, divine consciousness, inloading, downloading, raising our vibration in the level of our consciousness. So there's that sort of comes in stages and levels. And there may or may not be, depending on which timeline you're plugged into, there may or may not be one big event. That Arcturian entity that I've mentioned before, Tia, she can be heard on the GFL channel, GFL station channel. Tia said what I've been saying, that there's different versions of it and different people will experience it differently. Some people may not be aware of some large mass event. So the solar flash can be a big event that's very visible and appears a certain way, and it may well be. It is also can be something that has already been playing out. And honestly, that's my personal feeling about it. That's my gut feeling about it, is that we've been, like I said, sort of on the runway, but sort of we've been getting waves, larger and larger waves, almost like a tsunami where waves will come in and then there's a big wave. I feel like we've been receiving waves of the solar flash, that it's been coming in levels, and that there may well be a main event. That main event may look like what that lady said about this contraction in the darkness and then the amazing expansion, a loving, gentle explosion, not a damaging explosion of sun. It could be a huge, off the charts coronal mass ejection that gives us an X dot something class geomagnetic storm. I'm also given that it could be not one single event, but actually sort of a swarm, a cluster of ginormous coronal mass ejections, so that I'm getting the image almost of like when all the fireworks go off at the end of the 4th of July celebration, where they're all there. It could be like this multiple thing that is in itself, though, an event. In any case, there certainly could be disruptions in power, in communications. They could be very widespread. It may or may not be global. It could be. There are some predictions that have said that that's what's going to happen. The whole planet goes dark. But it also could be large swaths of communication taken out, power taken out. It could be very temporary, as in just lasting for a few days, maybe a week or two. No matter what it ends up playing out as far as what we experience, what we vibrate with, don't fear it. And I said this in the video yesterday, don't fear it. It is not here to harm us. We will be fine. We will be okay. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again here. It might not be a bad idea, just in case, to have a few extra supplies around, some dry goods, some canned goods, so that if the power is completely out and you can't go to the store and get any old thing you want for a few days or a couple of weeks, have some extra supplies, water if you need it, maybe, if there's certain medications you need to have around. Just not in fear. You're not preparing in fear. It's just we're going to be fine. We're okay. We're divinely guided by our divine inner source self to our best interest, our best outcome. And it may be that we receive sort of an intuitive nudge of, I think I'll buy an extra bag of rice. Again, I said that in yesterday's video as well. Not in fear. You don't need to fear. But that's sort of how it could look, and some of the ways in the physical play out that it might happen. The single big event, or no one single big event, but just more of these big waves and ripples that come into a bigger event. It could be the big event being the sort of cluster of enormous mass coronal ejections. Let's talk about what this is energetically, what's really going on here, and how it will actually affect us as people on the ground. We are God consciousness. We've said this so many times and we'll continue to say it. We are the God consciousness, creating this entire construct, present in every perspective within this construct. And you and I are just mainly focused right now through our unique perspectives and pathway of realization. We've been, by choice, very deliberately, in a construct of limitations where there is lack, where there is separation, where there is fear, so that we could learn to create responsibly. So we could, as God consciousness, experience and see all of our choices, see where things go when we make certain choices as individuals and as a species. It's almost been like a playpen of God consciousness learning how to be a responsible, loving creator that is learning how to make distinctions in the building blocks of energy and what we create and how we are at all times creating the experience that we're having. And this has been a wonderful medium in which to do that. Think about it. Wherever you are or have been in your vibration in this construct, on this earthly construct, if you are fearful and need to be victimized and need to have terrible pain and loss, you can have it here. If you have been in vibration with love and harmony, you've probably had an experience of lots of love and harmony. If you're in a vibration of, well, of course I'm a blessed divine child of God and deserve to experience having joy and everything I need, well, then you may be one of those people that have been having a life of just love and enjoyment and abundance of money and an abundance of healthy family. No matter what you've been vibrating in or what combination of energies and ideas you've been vibrating, and I know a lot of times they're conflicting, that's why we get the conflicting results, but whatever we're vibrating in, it will appear to us and for us in our physical surroundings, our environment. So we've been here by choice. We've been in the playpen learning how to become conscious creators, literally. One of the most important features of divine consciousness is it grows, it expands, it learns, and it grows and expands. just like you watch your 2-year-old learn and grow and expand and see him or herself differently in their world differently, and you watch them grow into adults. Consciousness expands. So there comes a time when the limited structure that we very deliberately incarnated into starts becoming not big enough to fit us anymore. We need new creative opportunities, new energies to work with, new possibilities. We need to now be where we know we get to manipulate the energies, and we're not required to play with the energies of lack and fear and separation and adversarialness anymore. Now we get to play where that's not even something we choose, because we know we don't have to choose it. So we as a consciousness, as a species, as a planet, are ready to expand. And it's like these growing pains of, my old clothes don't fit me anymore. I'm growing up spiritually. I'm moving up into an expanded version of my consciousness, and that's individually, and that's us as a species. So while it's useful to hear some of the channelings say, oh, this has all been divinely planned, you're fine, it's happening with or without you. Divinely planned, but not in the way that sounds. It's not like this thing is happening whether you agree to it or not. Nothing is ever going to be forced upon you. It's just within the nature of our divine consciousness to grow and expand and bust out of the limiting systems that we've had in place, because they don't fit us anymore. They're not big enough for us anymore. So this is not happening to us. It's not being done to us. Many parts of our multidimensional consciousness are helping us and supporting us and lighting the way and giving help where it's needed. But we are the ones that are literally busting out of the old limitations, the old structure, and asking for and being ready for more joy, more creativity, not settling for the old limitations anymore, not bound by the old limitations anymore. And so when we talk about the light codes coming in from our solar sun, we are in a physical environment, and we need a structure where we have a story of how things happen. We need to have some way to say, well, how will this happen? How did this happen? And so I'm thinking of how to explain this. Just as there is an energy that is flow versus static or blocked, there's flow as an energy. A river, as interpreted in our physical, our river interprets flow in the physical, and it symbolizes flow in the physical. But it isn't just a symbol, right? In the physical, it is flow. It provides flow. It expresses flow. There's the energetic state of flow, and there's the river literally physically interpreting that in our physical environment. It's the same principle with the light codes coming from our solar sun. The solar sun is an interpretation and a carrier of divine consciousness. The solar sun is physically perceivable, electromagnetic part of our environment that can deliver cosmic divine consciousness codes. It can deliver in solar sun light codes, photons, higher electromagnetic codes of awareness and expansion and information. So what I'm trying to say is the photons being delivered to us with all of these upgrades to our physical selves from our solar sun is actually an expression of what often is called the central sun, which is not physical. It's the divine consciousness in our universal system, our galaxy probably, and our universal system. It expresses, not just symbolizes, but expresses what's often called the central sun, which is the divine consciousness that is the organizing, generating source factor of our galaxy and ultimately universe. So our solar sun is delivering in a way that is discernible to us, detectable to us, codes, information from the divine consciousness that isn't even as physical as photons as we see and observe and hold them in this physical construct. I'm almost getting now that the physical light and photons we have are, again, a physical translation of the truth, the divine consciousness truth behind the light and the photons. So we are ready to expand our consciousness. We are saying, yes, I will expand, and therefore all of the light information that we need to uplift us into the higher realm of consciousness, the higher octave of consciousness, is of course being given to us because we're ready for it. We're consciously or unconsciously, we're seeking it. We're ready to bust out of the old paradigm. And by the way, we have gone as far as we can in this paradigm we've been in of lack and fear and separation and greed and control and adversarialness. Where to go now? Go more and more into power and control and fear and greed and separation until we literally destroy ourselves, which is what Atlantis did. I saw something that clarified that Atlantis wasn't destroyed by something from outside, like a meteor hitting it or something happening to it. They got too into their power and their control and with their technologies that they evidently blew themselves up. You don't have to agree with that. It's something that came across my perception, and it feels just about right. We are at that same kind of precipice, only now we have a choice, and we are choosing to not go that way this time and actually ascend to where we are whole consciousness, human consciousness, fully embodying our awareness as God consciousness and literally living heaven on earth. We are not dying. We are literally creating ourselves physically as heaven on earth. So as I said, the big event, if there is a single event or if it's a sort of a swarm event, may play out around solstice this year. The Arcturian entity Tia that's channeled on GFL station strongly implied that that might be the case. And she even said might, because there is not one timeline, you guys. We can't say it enough. There's not just one timeline that's true. It's which one you vibrate with. We're all going to the same place, but we may have different ways of getting there and different memories of how we got there. But when we have this event, the insight that came to me yesterday, the direct understanding that came to me yesterday is whichever physical way you or I experience the play out of the actual event, if it happens on solstice or around solstice, what came to me is it's actually sort of the divine, the higher octave of consciousness literally coming into us. And as it comes into us, we are suddenly, it's almost like veils that have been lifted from our eyes, or a cover being taken off of us, off of our understanding. And it's like this influx of understanding and seeing things differently and feeling differently. Like you've been out of jail and you're in this whole free new consciousness and world of consciousness around you. And you're actually aware of it. And you're actually perceiving this. It's like, I'm seeing things differently here. I'm feeling and understanding things that I'm seeing around me different. I see the whole thing differently. Right, because we've lifted the veil of the other structure off. And the way it's been lifted off is we've actually been infused with the new, the higher consciousness frequency. Now, again, it's not going to be forced on anyone. What this will do is make it easy and easier for people to lift in consciousness. So how will this look? Well, for those of us that know this is coming, have spent our whole lives really making evolution of our consciousness the first priority in our lives, we'll be right there. We'll know exactly what it is. And even though we've been seeing, oh my golly, things and understanding amazing things, there will be even more. It'll be more anchored. It'll be more consistent. It'll be like, no, this is where I live now. There's not going to be a foot in sort of the 3D that comes back on me. It'll be like, no, we're there. For people who are basically love-based, of a good, kind heart, but also still have one foot very much in the fear, adversarialness. Somebody's out to get me. We have to defend ourselves. Those folks, and we all probably know quite a few of them. It will be easy for them to all of a sudden see things differently, feel differently, understand differently, and just see that what they were buying into, just as clear as a bell, like a sore thumb, the fear and negativity that is not true. It's not their true self. They'll see it and they'll be able to move into that. So even those friends and neighbors and family members that we have that, have been, whatever, carrying their flags, banging their tables, all upset about this and that going on the planet, but they're basically kind, loving people underneath it all. For those people, it'll be so much easier for them to rise into that, and it will be there for them to see and feel and experience. So there will be a lot of them that just shift pretty darn easily. And of course, there are people that are not kind or loving whatsoever in their heart. They're greedy. They're about power. They're almost just expressions of greed and power and fear. They're almost embodiments of that, to where they're really not nice people. They don't really have much, if anything, in the way of any kind of empathy or unity feelings. They're very, very separate and self-oriented and power control structure oriented. And those people won't go along. They won't feel it. They won't see it. They will split off into a reality and a version of the earth of their own making until they at some point figure it out. And there will be people who are of a loving, good, kind nature that just haven't been following this at all. And so they'll be confused and need some help understanding what we just went through. Why is the earth so different all of a sudden? And by the way, that's what a lot of us are here for. We have been playing the role of holding the vibration and the template of the new earth, the new higher octave earth. Once this all kind of goes into effect, we are the ones that will help the people who are confused, who are in a state of what just happened to me. We're going to be there to help. We all have our roles. And as I've said before, our roles shift as this thing progresses. So this event, regardless of how it looks, how it plays out, how we experience it, it will be a reset regardless of which version plays out in your personal experience, how you experience it. It comes to me that it will be like a big in-breath and sigh, and rising up. That we will then have the lovely story of, well, the sun delivered all kinds of light codes and we had this story and we all ascended. But at the end of the day, what it is the structure that we had in place no longer fits us. And we just took a big breath and just went, let's go where we have freedom and we can be now who and what we really are and make a new story. I'm not sure exactly what the next video will be. It may be about the 3 days of darkness because that can be so closely paralleled with that solar flash. I'll end with a reminder. We are lifting into a higher octave. We're lifting into our divine consciousness. We're changing and expanding our understanding of who and what we really are. And we're expanding our neighborhood to become part of the cosmos, part of the galactic neighborhood. I will be talking about different aspects of all of this in those live spirit talks that I do the second and fourth Sunday of every month. I'll leave a link below to information about that. And you can go to my website, kathyhazeladams.com, and click the classes webinars tab. You can go to my Patreon page, Kathy Hazel Adams Quantum Spirit, to learn more about those spirit talks. I'll be back again soon with another video with another subject around this imminent ascension into the higher octave of consciousness. In the meantime, I hope this one was helpful to you in some way. Please remember to click like, subscribe, leave your comments and questions, and have a most wonderful day. Blessings.